It's a good day for a good day. Hello, everybody. My name's Cece Ray. Thanks for joining me here at Break the Dish, where we break the news and dish out the tea. Breakers, how's your week been going? I'm a little tired. I'm not gonna lie. That's probably why I look so haggard today. We've been traveling for Family Palette, so make sure you check out familypalette.com for all your tips and tricks for travel and all your easy recipes. You can find it all there. That is familypalette.com. And I have a big bone to pick with Mother Nature. I mean, yesterday it was 80 degrees. Today it's snowing. I'm not a happy camper about this right now, I have to tell you. But today we are going to be talking about Dorit Kemsley, Jax, and Brittany. Don't Hustle the Hustler. And last but certainly not least, everything about Nancy Gunthrie. But before we do, Breakers, you know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because today, Breakers, we're dishing the tea. We are dishing the tea today, Breakers. So let's start off with a pretty happy story, I guess. Jax and Brittany finally got their custody situation all taken care of. They are going to have joint legal custody with Brittany basically having the final say on everything. Neither one will be paying child support. So basically, whoever has the child at the time will be paying for all the child's needs. Jax will have alternate weekends and I think every Wednesday, possibly. And of course, neither one can be under the influence whatsoever. I think they also said that they can't introduce their son to anyone until they've been with that person for at least 6 months. I'm sure that can be amended over time. But that's not too bad of a story. At least these two can start moving on with their lives. Now let's talk about Dorit Kemsley. Poor Dorit. Dorit. She is in a pre-foreclosure again. Haven't we heard this before? But allegedly, she owes $842,376 for missed repayments and penalties. You know, on the show, though, it does say that she doesn't really know what the finances are. She doesn't know what she's responsible for paying or PK is responsible for paying. So this really shouldn't surprise anybody. Sticking with RHOBH, Rachel Zoe. Did you hear about this? Apparently, her home was burglarized. Now, I find this kind of interesting because if you think about it, this all started with Kyle, okay? So while the show's airing, Kyle got burglarized. Remember that? That was a few seasons back. And then Dorit, Crystal Minkoff, Sutton, and now Rachel Zoe. And if I'm not mistaken, it is when the show is airing. Isn't that weird? I mean, it could be just a coincidence, but, you know, I wonder if it's the same people or not, because apparently no one's been caught for any of the burglaries yet, at least that I know of. But I do find that kind of interesting, if you ask me. Sticking also with RHOBH, Don't Hustle the Hustler, Lisa Rinna. So allegedly, sources are saying that she is in negotiations for a big return for RHOBH. Now, she apparently is asking for $5 million. This is what sources are saying. I'm not sure if I believe this or not. However, if it is true, um, I think if they offer her $2 million, I think she'll do it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, she stepped into the fashion world. Her career took off after she quit, the show. She's written a book. Her and her husband have a podcast. Things are going well. I mean, does she need it? Right now, she doesn't. But that doesn't mean in the future she might not be thinking, uh-oh, I need to be doing something. So I don't know if it would be negotiations for this season or, the season coming up, not this season now. But if it is true, I think she'd settle with $2 million if they offered it to her. And if it is true, it doesn't surprise me because they need a shakeup. What they really need to do is just take Kathy and Kyle off. Just get them off of there. Seriously. But you all know how I feel about that. So now let's talk about Bravo and their lawsuits. So Leah McSweeney is back in the news, and this time it's in her favor. So let me just remind you, McSweeney's complaint paints a picture of a workplace she describes as unsafe, discriminatory, and exploitive. She says these are her claims, is that there's a toxic work environment, pressure to drink despite her sobriety, discrimination and retaliation, improper conduct by Andy Cohen. Now, improper conduct, she's alleging that Cohen used drugs and alcohol with certain favored cast members, contributing to what she describes as a culture of favoritism. Now, Bravo and Andy Cohen have pushed back on this. They attempted to move the case to private arbitration. The efforts to keep filings confidential, and they are trying to seeking dismissal of several of the claims. Now, in the earlier proceedings, Bravo was successful. They convinced a judge to dismiss or basically narrow some of McSweeney's discrimination and retaliation claims as they went forward. However, the most recent ruling keeps the case fully public. That's right, which means discovery filings, hearings will unfold in a transparent forum. This increases scrutiny on both sides and raises the stakes for how each party presents its evidence. So the judge ruled, even though Bravo wanted to make it private, the judge said, nope, too late. You didn't want to go there before? Now we're doing it my way. So I think this could maybe open the door for other people coming forward, to be quite honest. So we'll have to see how that goes. Also, do you remember Emil Coates? I think his last name is Coates or Coates. Emil from Below Deck. Yeah. It was 100 years ago. Yeah, that Emil. Well, he is trying to file a lawsuit as well against Bravo and NBC Universal. He alleges that Bravo, NBC Universal are defending themselves when it comes to what he's alleging. So the lawsuit is seeking between $633 million and $850 million, allegedly, depending on the filing, centers on claims that the production environment on Below Deck was abusive, unsafe, and manipulated for television drama. The allegations include sexual harassment and degrading treatment, a hostile work environment engineered for ratings, producer-manufactured romantic storyline. I believe he's talking about between him and Rocky. Remember? She went off the edge, swam to another boat. Remember all that? How could you forget that, right? Career damage and long-term harm, and coordinated exploitation. Now, of course, Bravo is seeking dismissal. You could expect that. I mean, it's been a while, number one. challenging amended complaints, and rejecting claims of harassment and exploitation. I'm not quite sure he's going to get very far with this. If he really felt that way, in my opinion, why didn't he come forward sooner? I mean, it's been years. Really, it has. So, like, now you want to bring it into court? It's a little fishy. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Hi everyone, Cece Ray here. I wanted to tell you about one of my favorite, and I do mean favorite, websites for savings, and we all love savings. It is called Morning Save, and I'm going to show you why. Okay, so see this? Now, I'm showing you this for a reason, okay? This is Dermalactives. It's a 7-in-1 LED light therapy mask. Now, you and I both know you can't find this for less than $100 anywhere, okay? I bought this for $39. Matter of fact, I bought one for my daughter too, and I bought it for $39 at Morning Save. Now, they not only just have beauty products, I mean, they have everything from fashion, home interior, organization, even sometimes cleaning supplies. But there is a catch. If you find something on that website and you don't buy it immediately, it could be gone. Just like that. Because they only have so much inventory. And when it's sold out, it's sold out. So make sure you visit Morning Save, go to the link in my description down below, and start all of your incredible saving.
Okay, so let's talk about the Nancy Gunthrie case. As of today, when I am shooting this video, it is 40 days. 40 days that this 84-year-old mother of Savannah Gunthrie has been missing. That's a lot of days. And at this point, is she still with us? The odds are kind of against her, to be quite honest. But I have questions. I mean, seriously, I have a lot of questions. I really, really do. And it starts with the footage because I'm agitated with the fact that every single time I hear an expert speaking, they say, oh, well, it's a burglary gone wrong, or, well, he acted alone. Well, possibly there might have been two people. No, we know for a fact, that there was at least two people, and we'll get into that in a minute. But right now, I want to go over the footage. Okay, so let me just put this out there right now that this is for entertainment purposes. I am not an investigator. I am just your average Joe, just like all of you viewers watching what's going on in front of us, okay? But I wanted to take a look at this footage because when you slow it down, and I could be wrong, it could be a camera glitch, it could be my eyes playing tricks on me, but take a look right here where it's circled, okay? Keep your eyes on that area right there. Now, as I slow the footage down, it almost looks like a head, like almost peeks up out of like those bushes or small trees there. Do you see what I'm saying? I mean, it does kind of look like that, right? Now, what I want you to do is take a look at this area circled right here and keep your eyes on that area right there. And let me show you this footage. Now, the other question I have is, why are we not getting the footage from where this Ring camera person bends down, picks up the shrubbery or whatever you want to call it? He didn't teleport back to the camera. So why don't we have that little bit of footage from the time he bends down, picks up the shrubbery, and walks back to the camera? Now, why I'm asking this too is because in that time frame, somebody joins him in front of the door there. And we know this for a fact, okay? Because take a look at this footage right here. As you can see, he's putting the shrubbery up to the camera, right? But in the lower hand side there, you see a light. Actually, right before you see the light, matter of fact, you almost see movement, which goes right before we see this light. Now, at first I thought it was a cell phone light, but now that I look at it, do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of one of those, I don't want to say lanterns, but that mechanics use, they're like hanging on the hood of the car. It's like sometimes orange or yellow, they're battery operated. They almost have like a cage in front of them, but they have that, when you turn them on, they look the shape of that light, which kind of coincides with what one of the experts was saying about the flashlight in this Ring camera person's mouth. Because that type of, not camera, I meant flashlight. Because that type of flashlight is used with HVAC, plumbing, mechanics, because you're able to turn the light on and off with your teeth. Kind of goes hand in hand, doesn't it? But we know for a fact, because of this footage alone, that there's at least two people. At least two. I'm thinking there might be more. But what I want you to do is continue this conversation. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if it's a camera glitch. Tell me oh yeah, that actually does look like somebody back there. You know what I mean? Let's continue this conversation. Why am I doing this? Because the sheriff made all the media leave, and we all know once the media leaves, the case goes quiet, and the public then, after days goes by, if you are talking to someone, they'll go, oh, they haven't solved that yet? You know what I mean? So I want to keep this going until it's solved. You know what I'm saying? Because we all want to know, where's Nancy? Who took her? And why did they take her? Because again, another question I have is, why isn't anybody talking about the house call that was made by Adult Protective Services? That representative left their card on her door. What's up with that? Why were they there? Seriously, nobody's talking about this at all. I'm curious. Seriously. We've heard rumbles of elder abuse, and listen, that doesn't mean it's the family. This could be somebody she knows, or, who's coming in and out of the house, or whatever, but we've heard rumbles of it. But why isn't anybody discussing why this person made a house visit, a home visit, put their card on that front door, and nobody's talking about it? That's not a coincidence. Why were they there? What questions were they going to ask? What did they have to discuss with Nancy? Don't you want to know? I want to know. But continue the conversation with the comments down below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and also make sure you check that notification bell. Don't forget that we are recapping Ladies of London, The New Reign, and also RHOBH. So make sure you look for those recaps. Because what do we do here, breakers? We break the dish.